What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so look. Before I go forward in this video, I want to make it perfectly clear that everyone is entitled to their opinion. Okay? Everyone is entitled to their opinion, especially Shaquille O'Neal. 19-year pro in the NBA, Hall of Famer, 4-time NBA champion. In my opinion, the second most dominant player to play in the game, in the history of the game. He has a right to his opinion. But what he said, I think it was last night, about Steph Curry, I'm sorry, but it's talk like this that's quickly starting to make me look at him as one of the most overrated players in the history of the NBA. And when I say that, right, people are going to get in their feelings because they don't understand what the word overrated means. In their minds, when you say overrated, they think it means you're saying that he's not good. Because people just react to words, react to things that you say without listening to what you got to say. They listen to sound bites. They listen to, key phrases they don't like. They don't really listen to the totality of your message. They react to certain things that you say that you don't like. That they don't like, excuse me. This is what Shaq had to say about Steph Curry from a historical standpoint. Let's see if I can find it.
Wondering is the time to start putting him as the best player of all time.
Best player?
I was saying.
Oh, you put him over you?
In the conversation.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
You put him over you yourself. Put Steph Curry over you.
Yeah, this way he's my favorite player.
I'm not saying favorite. He might be my favorite too. I'm just asking you, think he's better than you?
I played 20 years, watched 20 years before that. I've never seen a guy like him. And he's doing it consistently. And he has championships.
You put him over Michael?
No, I'm not putting him anywhere. I'm saying,
okay,
for all the chit chat, is it time to just put him in the conversation?
I think.
I'm wondering is it time to start putting him as the best player of all time.
Best player?
I was saying.
Oh, you put him over you?
In the conversation.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
You put him over you. You yourself. Put Steph Curry over you.
Yeah, this way is my favorite.
I'm sorry, y'all, but absolutely 100% fuck no. Okay? I would have Curry like top 12, 13 all time maybe. But top 10, top 5, no. GOAT conversation, no. Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. Look, first of all, I'm not saying that he only relies on the three. I'm not saying that. I know he has a mid-range. I know he can score inside. I know he has a floater. I know he, is incredibly accurate inside. I know that, he has incredible range. I know that he could catch. He could play the catch and shoot game. He could shoot off the dribble from outside. He can just score in so many different ways. I get that. I understand that. But the fact remains, statistically, just like we get on LeBron James by saying he overly relies by scoring in the post, like 50% of his points in his career have come from in the post. Well, 47% of his points, of Steph Curry's points, 47% of his total points come from three-pointers. Okay? Steph Curry averages 17.8 shot attempts per game for his career. 9.1 of those shots are threes. If you take free throws away, of all of his field goals, 56% are three-pointers. Okay? So this is a man that relies on the three-point shot. Never mind the fact that the game has skewed over the past 15 to 20 years. Well, actually the past 15 years. Maybe 17, 18 years, to favor perimeter offensive players more than anybody else, both in points per game and efficiency. So you have the rule changes. which pushed big men out of the paint, which allowed perimeter players to drive to the basket and to score with much more ease rather than, beforehand. That's why a guy like Allen Iverson shot a career high 45% in 2006, whereas in earlier seasons he was shooting 39, 38, 34, I mean not 34, but 38, 39, 40, 41%. You see what I'm saying? Then you had the analytics boom. Now, in all actuality, the analytics boom started with Billy Beane and the Oakland Athletics. Billy Beane was their general manager. Billy Beane had an outside-the-box idea as far as building teams. Instead of looking at traditional stats in baseball like batting average and RBIs and, things of that nature, he looked at other stats like home runs, power stats, OPS. He didn't care about strikeouts. He looked at other stats and thought they were more important, more beneficial as far as seeing who could win. Guys that were able to drive batters home. He saw these other stats as more important. Ultimately, he was kind of proven correct in a lot of ways, but there are flaws in his theory. But this trend of analytics began to affect sports in general. In the NFL, we don't see teams like the 2000 Ravens anymore. We don't see teams like the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everything is so offensively skewed to the point where Joe Montana used to be the standard. Joe Montana would have a season throwing for 3,400, 3,500 yards. That was the standard. You know what I'm saying? Dan Marino threw for 5,084 yards. That was the record for 27 years, if I'm not mistaken. Then all of a sudden, you start having a plethora of guys throwing for 5,000 yards. 4,000 yards is now starting to be seen as a somewhat subpar year. That's how things have gotten. That's how out of skewed things have gotten. So then we go to basketball. Steph Curry came right around that time, 2008, 2009. The analytics were starting to affect the NBA. Centers like Shaquille O'Neal were being phased out in favor of guys that could stretch the floor. Guys that were around the perimeter, which would leave the lanes open for guys like Curry and other guards to score and, display their talents. Okay? Curry benefited from these changes. He's the face of these changes. What I don't like is this spin where these changes came primarily because of Steph Curry. That's not true. Because we started seeing an increase in three-point shooting from 2009 onward. This is before the rise of Steph Curry in 2015-16. All right, even though he won the MVP in 2014-15, he really became a superstar in 2015-16 when he was already entering his 7th year in the NBA. Okay? When Kobe Bryant won his last title in 2010, teams were averaging about 18 three-pointers a game. When the Heatles were doing their thing, that number increased to 20 a game to 22 a game. By the time the Warriors was doing their thing, it went up to like 23 a game. Now, it did go all the way up to 34, 35, but a lot of that had to do with the popularity of Curry, yes. But that trend had already began. Okay? Then we've had all these rule changes that have helped guys like Curry, including the freedom of movement rule where basically you can't guard a guy on the perimeter. You can't really do anything. Now contrast that to Wilt Chamberlain, who during his collegiate career and NBA career had to constantly deal with rule changes that made him, or were attempting to make him, less dominant. Whether you talk about in college with the goaltending call, the goaltending changes, can no longer dunk from the free throw line, goaltending changes in the NBA, widening the lanes so that a guy like Wilt would be less effective, less dominant, purposely not counting blocks for the entirety of Wilt Chamberlain's career. Look, there are a lot of things that they did as far as with Wilt that they tried to make it. Look, it's just so many things in my head is just popping in right now. Wilt Chamberlain could not do what Shaq did. Wilt could not lean his shoulder in. He couldn't do that. You know why? Because the minute he leaned his shoulder in, it's an offensive foul. Imagine if Wilt was able to play power game like Shaq did his entire career in his prime. His efficiency would have been even greater because he would have bulled his way to the basket and got layups or dunks all the damn time. So Wilt had to actually use his basketball skills to score. And if you look at highlights, you might notice that Wilt didn't really start dunking the basketball until around 69, 70, 71. You know why that's the case? Not just because he started playing a power game, but because centers were no longer able to double hand check. Because they were trying to open up the game, finally, to compete with the ABA. They were trying to make the game a little bit more exciting. So they were encouraging more dunks. Because for many years, they were trying to outlaw the dunk because they wanted these guys to be less dominant, particularly black players. So if you know your history, like I do, you know about these things. But a lot of these dudes just be on this bitch talking. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these dudes be on here just telling us how much they love ham and turkey sandwiches instead of like critiquing and sneak dissing. But anyway, look, man, Steph Curry's great. He's phenomenal. But no, bro, like GOAT, no, you're losing me with that one, bro. Like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. If you think he's a GOAT, fine. But I'm trying to figure out how a guy that has a resume less impressive than Magic all of a sudden is now a GOAT candidate. Okay? How a guy with 4 titles but only 1 Finals MVP is a GOAT candidate. How a guy who is at best an average defender and at times in his career a poor defender all of a sudden is a GOAT candidate. A guy that recruited one of the other best players in the NBA in Kevin Durant and allowed that dude to take over his team and be the man. Can you imagine Michael Jordan? Fuck, I'm not even going to say Michael Jordan. Could you imagine Kobe Bryant recruiting LeBron back in 2009 and having LeBron take over the team and be the man and Kobe just like a sidekick and LeBron winning MVPs? Do you think people look at Kobe the same way? So why the fuck does Steph get all these passes? These magical, mythical passes for every fucking thing. So yeah, I got him as top 12, 13. I think that's extraordinarily high. But GOAT? Nah, man. You're out of your mind with that one.